What's up, reefers? Welcome back to another episode of Zoanthid Boys. In this episode, guys, we're going to be talking about how to make a Zoa garden. Let's go. Like you guys just saw, we're going to be talking about how to create a Zoa garden. Guys, Zoa gardens have been the craziest trend in the past year and a half. Everybody's into Zoas, and not just Zoanthids, but making a garden out of them to make them look like bouquets. So, as you guys know by the name of the channel, I love Zoanthids. The craziest, nicest thing about Zoanthids, guys, is they come in so many different varieties. From colors, to size of polyps, to growth rates. So some Zoanthids grow really fast, some grow really slow, some are all over the place. So before we go too deep into this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, guys. It's the easiest way to support this channel. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram. So, guys, let's get into this and let's take a look at the Zoas. Alright, reefers, so here we have the Red C350. I have turned off all the flow so we can take a really good look at the Zoanthids and talk a little bit about the Zoanthid Garden. Before we do that, let's take a look at the Euphyllias. Everything so far seems to be pretty happy. Got the OG down there. For a while he wasn't looking too pretty, but now he's bouncing back. But everything is looking fairly happy. The torch corals are doing pretty good. And now let's talk about Zoanthids. So, Zoanthids are considered a beginner coral. So, they're very tolerant to parameter swings. Preferably, they actually like a little bit of a dirty tank. They come in a vast variety of colors. And lately, one of the biggest trends that's been happening in the reefing hobby is creating Zoa gardens. So, as you guys can tell by the name of our channel, Zoanthid Boys, we've always loved Zoanthids. I mean, that was one of the first corals that I got into, and a lot of these colonies have been with me since the beginning. So, I got a couple varieties. I think I counted the other day, and I had roughly 60 different strands of Zoanthids. Now, the lights have been on for most of the day, so some of them are closing up a little bit. This one's one of my most recent purchases. I picked it up at Worldwide Corals in the Winter Park location. That is the Little Shops of Horrors. If you watched one of the latest videos, you guys saw me acclimating it and purchasing it. But yeah, in my opinion, if I could give anybody some tips on Zoanthids, just like in the video that I made with all the mistakes about reefing, is keep your hands out of the tank. Once you put them in there, and you can tell they're happy that they're opening up, let them be. Don't keep moving them around or changing them. These right here are the WWC tasers. You got some Motley Crews, AOI, bloodsuckers, butt kissers. But yeah, let them be. Let them get used to the spot. A lot of reefers will put a Zoanthid in a place, and because it's not opening up fully in the first day, they start moving it. You would be surprised how many times it would take me, weeks and months sometimes for a Zoanthid to fully show all of its potential. So sometimes it takes a little bit of time for the corals to get ultimately happy. But as you can see, a lot of these Zoa colonies have multiple heads, and these all started with a single polyp. Most of these started with a single polyp. Now, Zoanthids come in all vast varieties, from some that are hardier to keep to others that are kind of beginner, will take a lot of abuse. To give you an example, in my opinion, one of the harder ones to keep are these. Some people call these seductions, white zombies. They have a whole bunch of different names. This colony, I've grown these out like crazy, and then all of a sudden they close up on me and then they come back. The key is to let them be. Let them be. That colony started out with a single head, and now it has, I think I counted like 16 heads, and it goes through its motions. Just make sure your parameters are in check. That way you have a thriving garden of Zoanthids. Now let's zoom in so we can get a cool look at some of these. So starting off right here, those are called the rainbow infusions. Great color, decent sized polyp, and are fast grower in my opinion. To the right, that's one of my favorite Zoanthids. I'd probably say top 5. Those are the candy apple reds. Again, started out with one head, and as you can see, we have multiple heads. Oh, look at that, guys. That's the return pump. I had it on feed mode, and it just came on. So let me shut it off so we can keep looking at the Zoanthids. So I just turned off the pump. And something we'll also talk about, if you guys notice, my power heads and pumps are super high. I let my Zoanthids get a lot of flow because it keeps them clean. So some people may say Zoanthids don't like a lot of flow. I would beg to differ. I hit my Zoanthids with a decent amount of flow because it keeps the detritus off of them. Sometimes food particles get between the Zoanthids, and that's not good for the Zoanthid polyps. So, but yeah, so let's go back to some of the types of zoas. These right here are called sticker shockers. I got these with one single head, and I mean, I think I counted ones like 30 or 40 heads on that thing. Now, some of the newer ones that I've received lately, this one is called the Bloodshot. I've had that Zoanthid multiple times, but I've never really had luck with it. This specific piece came from Hector's tank. He had a couple heads and he gave me one. I did pick up some rainbow hornets. I actually had a huge colony of those, but in the move, believe it or not, I lost it, which may seem hard to believe, but I don't know where I placed it. To the left of that, you have the petroglyphs. But there's so many different varieties, and the reason I love Zoanthids is because of the colors. I mean, you have the tasers, I believe those are called Green Bay Packers or Gatorades. You have the Motley Crews, Utter Peace. There's so many different variety, and it adds a lot of color. So let's get a backup shot. Look at all those colors, guys. So lately, the reefing hobby has been obsessed with gardens. So for me, to the left, I keep my Euphilia garden. I did have a little Ghani garden, but I'm not the best at keeping Ghani so far. This one's doing really well, and that one's not doing the best. So that's cool. You know, Ghanis are something that I'm trying to work on. I do have my torch garden. So I got my highlighter torch, Dragon Soul, Hellfires, an Aussie torch up there. I also do have a single double-headed New York Knicks. But gardens have been kind of like the biggest thing lately. Leave a comment below if you guys have some of your favorite Zoanthids. Which ones have you tried in the past that have been super hard to keep? And which ones are your favorite that maybe they're super expensive? So for me, the one Zoa that's like, there's a couple that have been super expensive and I just haven't come across them at the right show at the right time. Well, one of them used to be these right here. Let me get a good shot for you guys. These right here, the Little Shops of Horror. But after that, Grandmaster Krakatoa, if you guys are big Zoanthid fans, you guys will know that Grandmaster Krakatoas are super expensive. They've gone down in price, but they are up there in price. Apart from that, I've heard hallucinations also are, I haven't heard, I know they're super expensive, but they're super temperamental and they have a tendency to melt. Now, one Zoa that I love, I had a huge colony up and melted completely when I moved, was the Speckled Crack. So I finally picked up one of these, a single head at the show, and let me see if I can get a good shot of it. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but I already have a couple babies down there. And it's only been in the tank for about a month, so Once your tank gets somewhat established, you'll start growing corals like crazy. This one right here started with one head. It has 3 babies under their skirt already. So can't complain. Acid reflux. Again, I got this at the show in Lakeland. Look at that baby already. And it only came with 2 heads. So it's really cool to see your zoanthids grow and to see the color populate. But yeah, guys, softy tank can take a lot of damage in regards to nutrients. I am going to do a video telling you guys the levels that I keep this tank at. And I'm also going to be doing a video on lighting schedule. So I know I get a lot of comments asking about lighting, guys. I'm definitely going to put it out there. It's just been super busy between filming, editing, regular work, the pond. If you watched the last episode, guys, check it out. And it's been crazy weather here. So, but yeah, guys, let's take a look at the flow so you guys can see how much flow I actually hit my zoanthids with. All right, guys, so the flow just turned on. So in this tank, I am running an MP10, which, just let me show you the speed that I run this guy at. I mean that's almost all the way to all the way. Apart from the MP10, I also have a gyre, and I have my return pump, which is adjustable to the flow. So here's my return pump. It's the high door return pump, and I put that sucker all the way to the top because I want this to get flow. I want this to get a lot of flow. So in my opinion, when you give zoanthids a lot of flow, it keeps them clean. You see all that stuff in the air, all the stuff in the water column? Imagine all that settling on your zoanthids. So many times when you see that your zoanthids are not opening up, just dust them a little bit. If you don't keep regularly high flow on them, because they might just have detritus, maybe some food, maybe some algae growing on it. And there's the surface area. So I'm always keeping tons of flow on the surface. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Zoanthid Boyz. If you like this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Till next time, Zoanthid Boyz out!